Cheated on years ago, story with vengeance. Long post. Back in 2014, I was dating the lady I hope would be my wife, the only woman I have ever genuinely loved before or since. I was 25 years old at the time. It was a 2-year partnership. I had never really popped the question, but the relationship seemed to be on a very good long-term track. I thought we were in love, that our families adored one another, and that our relationship was generally flawless, no fights at all, great personality meshing between us. We looked fantastic together, had a terrific relationship, and her family saw me as the son they never had, same for her with my family, and everything looked perfect. On Memorial Day, we go to a party with friends and then return to my house, where she sets her alarm and then goes to sleep. However, after she goes to sleep, I see her phone continually going off. So I take it up and examine it. There are texts from this man, one of those he is just a buddy sorts, with nasty descriptions for what he plans to do to her this weekend when she meets him. Including references in the past tense, signifying a long-term relationship. Needless to say, I woke her up and said, "Time to go," and kicked her out. Fast forward 3 days, and I've spent my time wallowing in grief and heartbreak. This day in particular, I find myself second-guessing myself, wondering, did I act too quickly? What are the chances I was wrong? And I call her and tell her to come to my house once she finishes work. During this time, I confronted the man with whom she was engaged directly through Facebook and SMS. After some probing, he emails me a nude photo of her he took. They became together the day after I broke up with her, she told me. You can imagine how this might affect someone who has been cheated on. Then it occurred to me. Vengeance that will linger and remind her of her actions for a long time. She is white, with blonde hair and blue eyes. As is the rest of her family, who were, to be honest, rather prejudiced. The guy she was having an affair with behind my back, in their house, no less, was African American. To emphasize my point, I decided to end my brief love affair. While my ex is heading over to my house to chat about our relationship, I contact her mother and tell her what I know about this gentleman and her clandestine continuous romance in their home while they are out of town. When my ex arrives, we have a long conversation in which she does this half-crying thing and tries to justify her behavior by blaming it on previous traumas, including using the recent death of a cousin as an excuse. And claiming that her up with this guy the day of the breakup was just a harmless hangout situation. Of course, I show her the naked picture he gave me and make it clear that I am aware of all that has been going on recently. Mostly because her boyfriend guy wouldn't shut up when I talked to him. As the talk concludes and she walks out the door, I inform her she has a prize waiting for her at home. She eventually gets the deer in the headlights expression and asks, "What do you mean?" I just tell her that her parents are well versed in all aspects of her life. She then erupts in fits of laughter, swinging at me. Then I saw genuine anguish and tears from her, when the earlier emotions were only crocodile tears. As she rushes away, she declares, "I shall despise you till the day I die." For the record, I still have no clue what happened to her family, and I haven't talked to her since the split. I know she wasn't disowned, but I have a sense that hurt their relationship a lot. Years later, I find out they married and had a child while she was cheating on him as well, resulting in a horrible divorce in which she ended up in prison for spousal abuse. This was one of the most formative experiences of my adolescence, teaching me a lot about myself as well as the motives of others. Most folks I know believe I escaped this one unscathed. A funny side note, 3 years later, I'm still working for a local security agency, and I've been for a while. Guess who comes through the door in our uniform? My ex-boyfriend, new employee. Most people who know about it believe she was stalking me. Though I did not talk to her or communicate with her in any way, so maybe that is incorrect. If not, what is? The universe has a wicked sense of humor. Story 2. I, 28M, with fiancé, 27F, about a month ago overheard her tell a friend her previous ex was the best lover she ever had. It was just by chance that I heard this. We had a lot of our friends around, and as the night progressed, we all kind of broke off into little groups. Some of us were playing Texas Hold'em in one area, while others were watching a Lord of the Rings marathon in another. I assumed she was watching movies, but she and one of her close friends were really having coffee and chatting in the kitchen. Our party had ran out of soda, so I got up to go to the kitchen and fetch more beverages and munchies. As I approach the corner, I hear my fiancé chatting, and as I enter the room, I clearly hear her remark, "Jason is terrific, but he will never be the lover that Bill was," followed by, "It's not really fair to Jason, Bill was just incredibly talented down there." I considered just stepping back into the card game and pretending we didn't have any additional drink or food, but I opted to create a commotion and go in. Her buddy saw me turning the corner and made a face to my fiancé, letting her know I was there. Of course, she has no clue I hurt her, and she just stops talking to her and asks me how I'm doing and whether I'm having a good time. I was tempted to remark, I'm having as much fun as someone who isn't skilled down there can, but I didn't. I just replied yes and went to retrieve my belongings before returning to complete the night. I simply pretended there was nothing wrong the rest of the night and went to bed. Needless to say, it messed with my head. I mean, screwed me up big time. I'd never been jealous or felt uneasy about myself until that moment. I couldn't sleep that night and was overcome by a slew of emotions as I lay there. At first, I was enraged. I was then embarrassed. Then I became sad. Then I became enraged once again. Look, I understand that the male ego seems silly to women and even self-assured males. Prior to that night, I would have agreed with much of this, but after it has been harmed, it is a shambles. I tried not to show any emotion or let her know about it, but as the days passed, I simply became worse and worse. I avoided her at all costs, and although she was suspicious, she didn't say anything. That is, until she tried to get with me a few days later, and I flatly refused her. By the way, that wasn't an intentional choice on my behalf. I had taken the choice on my own to just attempt to move on and get over it. But instead of being aroused, I felt horribly inadequate and embarrassed at the time. No matter how hard any of us tried, nothing happened. She inquired what was wrong, and I simply told her I was stressed out from work, but she wouldn't believe me or let it go. So much to my embarrassment, there I lay, nude in bed, unable to get an erection. I confessed and told her what I had heard. This did not go down well at all. She first attempted to convince me that I had misheard her. But all I did was repeat to her exactly what she had told her buddy. When she couldn't deny it any longer, she attempted to apologize, and to her credit, she tried to listen to my thoughts on the subject. Which, again, I'm sure was more of a turn-off for her since I was an emotional mess. She attempted to convince me how much better of a person I was and how I fulfilled her and she didn't want anybody else. But all I could hear was Charlie Brown's teacher yelling at me. It's been about a month, and I still have no urge to have relations with her. None. She is becoming irritated as well, but no matter what I do, I simply can't get over this. It's not as if she stated we were both excellent lovers or something. She plainly said that he was way better, and I'm guessing that since he was talented down there, he was also substantially bigger than me. Well, I know I can perform a variety of things with my hands, tongue, and other body parts. But no matter what I do, I can't become much bigger. Obviously, she refuses to discuss anything with me, claiming that whatever she says would simply make matters worse since even if she says something great about me, I won't believe her. She is very likely correct. Here's some backstory. He had dumped her. He dumped her and crushed her heart. It wasn't a mutual split. I know this since she told me so early in our relationship. She said that she was not ready to be serious about someone since her last ex had abandoned her and emotionally broken her. So this isn't a scenario where I can say, well, she's with me because she wants to be. She would never have left him if he hadn't dumped her. Now, I'm not sure whether she'd leave me for him after all these years if he came back, but I don't believe she would. I'm at a loss on what to do here. I can feel myself withdrawing from the connection. I know it's silly, but hearing someone you care about tell someone else that they prefer to have with someone else is heartbreaking to me. Her giving me all of my other wonderful traits has just exacerbated the situation since she is saying things that I believe appeal to her and perhaps other women, but being told I am a good provider and would make a great spouse makes me feel like garbage. What if I lost my well-paying work, or worse, if I were wounded and unable to earn anything more than state assistance? Would she be there to support and aid me? Basically, I feel like a very wonderful buddy that she is just permitted to have with. I know in my intellect that this is incorrect, but that is how I feel in my heart. I apologize for the length of this message, and I'm not sure what I'm asking. I'm completely bewildered, and if this continues, I'm afraid I'll have to call it quits on our engagement. Edit, I answered a handful of questions before going to bed, then woke up today and went Christmas shopping in the hopes of forgetting my problems, and I didn't even check in till now. I haven't even begun to read the, as of now, 7.7 thousand comments on this post. I'm not sure what anybody has said yet, but thank you everyone for your comments in any case. I'm about to embark on the huge task of reading through the comments. Also, thank you to the online strangers who sent me gold and silver. Edit 2, I read all the way down to the bottom of the page, believing I had read everything, and then it stated load the 5.5k more posts. I'm going to bed for the night, well morning actually. I was going to answer to each person personally, but there is just no way. I haven't even begun reading the direct messages that have been sent to me, nor have I accessed any of the 20 chat windows. There are several concerns I'd want to bring to light since some things are being mentioned that aren't correct. She was supposed to employ the Barney Gumble phrase lovely sweet drunk babble. In other words, she and her companion were inebriated while conversing. No, none of us consumes alcohol. We don't even have it at home. She expressed her dissatisfaction to a friend. Well, this is a weird thing. Honestly, I wasn't unhappy about this portion before I wrote it. I was and continue to be outraged that this is how she feels. However, after reading most of the post, I'm irritated that she did share this with her buddy. I would never say anything to anybody about her that would cast her in a negative light. That I'm an insecure man kid who has to grow up and learn to do better. Being insecure and all, I'm sure the first part is correct. But the latter element is completely out of my hands. I will always be 7 inches tall, no matter what I do. We spoke about it while she was attempting to build me up, by the way. She stated I was already good at everything except the one thing I couldn't control. Okay, I gave myself about a ½ inch to make myself feel better. No, I'm not going to do something rash. It's been a month, so this isn't anything that occurred last week. But, sure, I need to determine what I'm going to do here soon. It's not fair to either of us if I'm simply coasting and no longer committed. She is sorry I overheard it. She apologized for saying it, but at the end of the day, she wouldn't be sorry if I hadn't caught her saying it. That's all there is to it. But, yeah, I think she regrets it since she has been a shambles since I informed her. According to her, the fact that I don't want to be with her bothers her a lot. I'm not sure how much of it I believe, but I'm not sure why she would lie right now. I know it has wreaked havoc on our Christmas spirit this year. Edit 3, engineer in case you're wondering what I do for a job. She works as a paralegal. Edit 4, several people have inquired about my connection with the ex and how I knew she was devastated. We met about 9 months after they divorced. I know he eventually wanted to be with someone else, despite her claims that he never strayed on her. He just terminated things in order to be with another lady. We began dating when she contacted me at a local workshop. When things began to become physical on our 4th date, she burst into tears over the ex. It seemed strange holding someone as they sobbed over someone else, but I did it. We regularly dated for a few more months, during which time I never sought to breach any physical boundaries since it was evident she wasn't over him, so although we merely went out on dates, I tried to keep in mind that we were just friends because I didn't want to commit either. After almost 2 months, she takes me from my vehicle to her apartment and starts telling me how much she appreciates my patience with her and how dumb she felt for dragging me along for so long. That was, of course, our first night together. Within 3 months, she is telling me she loves me. So, yeah, she was still on the phone with her ex when we met. Before this occurred, I thought/hoped she was over him.